Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Hello there.
Today we're heading off to, well, a really fascinating corner of the world. It's Sunamganj district up in northeastern Bangladesh, part of the Sylhet division.
Right. And we've got quite a mix of sources to dig into for this one. There's the baseline info from Wikipedia, of course.
Yep.
But also travel experiences from TripAdvisor, some interesting travel-focused articles from the Daily Star.
Oh, cool.
And even transcripts from a couple of YouTube travel vlogs about Sunamganj. So a real blend.
Yeah, that's a great mix. So our goal here really is to take all that, unpack it, and give you a clear sense of Sunamganj. You know, its history, its people, and what makes it tick, what makes it worth knowing about.
Exactly. It's about trying to understand the place, not just list facts. We want to get a feel for its roots, who lives there now, and maybe why you'd want to visit, or just, learn more.
And it's that mix of the factual stuff alongside the, personal takes from travelers that should make it interesting.
Hopefully, yeah. Blending the data with the lived experience, the feeling people get when they're actually there.
All right, then. Let's dive in. Let's see what Sunamganj is all about.
Okay, so first things first, let's get oriented. As you said, northeastern Bangladesh, Sylhet division.
And the coordinates, for anyone looking it up, are roughly 25 degrees north, 91 degrees east. Area-wise, we're talking about just over 3,700 square kilometers.
Which is about 4,450 square miles, so it's a decent size.
Yeah, definitely not small. And that geography, of course, plays into its history, which sounds like it goes way back.
It really does. The sources tell us that in ancient times, this area was actually part of something called the Lower Kingdom.
Lower Kingdom, okay. And then things shift, I imagine, particularly after the Muslim conquest of Sylhet in 1303, Shah Jalal and all that.
Exactly. That was a major turning point. And we see figures like Shah Kamal Kafur emerging, setting up a capital in Shaharpara.
Right, I saw his name mentioned.
And his son, Shah Mu'tamuddin Qureshi, he had an administrative office, sort of a sub-office, right there in Nizgaon.
Which is now part of Sunamganj town in Sholigar. So it had this administrative role pretty early on.
Definitely. But here's a really interesting bit from the sources. Between the late 1300s and 1765, Sunamganj wasn't just like a district within a larger region. It was part of an independent state called Iklim-i-Mosamabad for a good portion of that time.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
An independent state? I didn't realize that. That's fascinating.
It adds a whole different layer, doesn't it? That period of sort of self-rule.
Absolutely. Until the Mughals came in.
Right. The Mughal Empire conquered the area around 1620. And we also learn about the last sultan of that independent state, Hamid Khurshid Khan, also known as Shamshir Khan.
Ah, Shamshir Khan. And he was descended from that earlier figure, Shah Kamal Kafur.
That's what the sources indicate, yeah. And his story didn't end with the conquest either. He actually served as a Nawab in Fauzdar after Sylhet fell.
Interesting.
Until he died in the Battle of Giria in 1740. So you see this whole arc from independence to being part of these larger empires.
Quite a journey through time already. So fast forward a bit. How is the region actually, structured today, administratively?
Well, now it's a district led by a deputy commissioner. That's a career civil servant role.
Okay.
And there's also a district administrator who's more of a political appointee.
And there's a mention of a Mr. Black, the first district commissioner.
Yeah, an interesting little historical note from the British colonial period.
Right. And today it's divided into smaller units.
12 of them, sub-districts, or upazilas as they're called.
12, okay. Can you listen?
Sure. We've got Bishwambarpur, Chatak, Shantiganj, Durai, Dharamapasha, Dawar Bazar, Jagannathpur, Jamalganj, Sula, Sunamganj Sadar itself, Tahirpur, and Madhyanagar.
That's quite a few. And it's grown, hasn't it? I think the sources mentioned fewer back in the British era.
Yeah, back then it was a subdivision with just 6 thanas. Included places like Sunamganj Sadar, Tahirpur, Chatak, which also covered Dwar Bazar at the time, Dharai, Jagannathpur, and Dharmapasa.
So it's definitely become more granular in its administration. Double the units, basically.
Pretty much. Okay, so that's the structure. What about the people, the demographics? What did the 2022 census tell us?
Okay, population. Just under 2.7 million. So 2,695,496 people.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Yeah. Living in about 528,000 households, which averages out to just over 5 people per household.
And the density?
Around 719 people per square kilometer. So fairly densely populated.
And a young population too, right? Something like nearly a quarter under 10?
Exactly, 22.8% under 10. And it's still overwhelmingly rural. Only about 15% live in urban areas.
That paints a picture. Mostly rural, young population. What about literacy?
Ah, yeah. The literacy rate for age 7 and up is 64.92%.
Okay.
And the courses make a point of comparing this to the national average in Bangladesh, which is 74.80%.
So there's a noticeable gap there, about 10 percentage points.
Yeah, it definitely highlights an area that might need, focus.
Right. And religious makeup.
Predominantly Muslim, 88.2%. Then Hinduism at 11.69%. And a very small percentage, 0.11%, listed as other.
And there was a specific mention of a Christian minority.
Yes, around 2,600 people,
Yeah.
mainly in 3 upazilas, Madhyanagar, Tahirpur, and Sunamganj Haor.
Okay. And any mention of specific ethnic groups?
There was. The total ethnic population listed is 5,308, and they specifically called out the Garo people, about 2,000 of them.
Right.
And the Hudi people, around 1,500. So it gives you a sense of the human fabric of the district.
Absolutely. And to support this population, what about things like education and healthcare? Any key institutions mentioned?
For education, they highlight Sunamganj Science and Technology University and also Bangabandhu Medical College. So there's higher education presence.
That's good to see. And healthcare facilities?
The sources mention 12 government hospitals and 22 health centers across the district.
Okay. And did they give any, health indicators?
They did provide a couple of stats. Infant mortality at 62 per 1,000 births. And average lifespan reported as 62 years.
Okay.
Gives you a bit of a snapshot, though obviously those figures can be complex.
Sure, but it provides some context. Now, this is always a fascinating part for me, the notable people from a region. Sunamganj seems to have, quite a list.
Oh, definitely. It's really impressive, actually. Across so many different fields, too.
You've got cultural icons, right? Like Hasan Raja, the mystic poet. We'll definitely talk more about his museum later.
Absolutely. And religious figures like Advaita Acharya, writers like Asador Ali.
Then in politics, former Foreign Minister Abdus Samad Azad, and people like Suranjit Singh Gupta, a very well-known parliamentarian.
Yeah, long career. Also, educators like Dewan Muhammad Azraf, language activist Syeda Shahar Banu. The list goes on.
And what really jumped out at me was the international connection, especially with the UK.
Right. Afsana Begum, a current member of the British Parliament.
And Anwar Chowdhury, former governor of the Cayman Islands, UK High Commissioner to Bangladesh. That's quite a profile.
Plus social reformers in Britain, like Ayo Ali Master and Shah Abdul Majid Qureshi, and Lutfur Rahman, deputy leader in Manchester. It's quite a diaspora impact.
It really speaks volumes. And then, of course, the arts are strong. Music, especially.
Oh, yeah. Nirmalendu Chowdhury, Ramganai Das, Sushama Das, and the legendary Shah Abdul Karim. His folk songs are hugely popular.
Absolutely iconic. And Alo Rahman, too. Plus, freedom fighters like Kakon Bibi, Maniklal Ray, journalists, engineers.
It's just such a diverse range of contributions, isn't it? From poetry and music to politics and international diplomacy.
Yeah.
Gives you a sense of the spirit of the place, maybe.
I think so. It shows a capacity for nurturing talent in many different areas.
Okay, so we've got the history, the people. Now let's get to what probably draws a lot of visitors. The natural beauty and the attractions. The sources seem pretty enthusiastic about this aspect.
Oh, definitely. Sunamganj is painted as this land of incredible haors, those unique wetlands, serene rivers, and interesting cultural sites. Sounds like a traveler's dream, really.
And the star of the show seems to be Tanguar Haor.
Without a doubt. It's described as this absolutely unique wetland ecosystem, and it's huge, the second largest freshwater wetland in all of Bangladesh.
Wow. Covering parts of Dharmapash and Tahirpur Upazilas.
And it changes completely depending on the season. Like in monsoon, it's this vast, almost sea-like body of water with actual waves.
Really? Waves?
Yeah. But then in winter, the water recedes and it becomes this crucial haven for migratory birds. Over 200 types, apparently.
Incredible. A bird watcher's paradise, then.
Totally. And it's teeming with life-diverse plants, aquatic stuff, and over 140 species of freshwater fish. So it's ecologically vital and also really important for the local fishing communities.
And the main experience is just being out on the water, on a boat.
That seems to be the key thing, just exploring the vastness. And they even mention these, premium houseboat options, Gunjawar and Dohim.
Yeah, I saw those names. What's special about them?
Well, things like wooden construction for heat protection, multi-layer roofs, even air conditioning. So you can be comfortable while you're immersed in this wild environment.
That sounds pretty appealing. And the way travelers describe it, really evocative.
It is. Words like magical, serene beauty, calm waters, endless sky.
Fills your soul with peace.
Yeah, and disconnect from the world and reconnect with your heart. I mean, that tells you something about the impact it has on people.
Definitely powerful stuff. Okay, so from that huge natural wonder, what about man-made landmarks? The Surma Bridge came up.
Right, also known as the Keene Bridge, built way back in 1936.
An old one. And it's noted for its architecture, steel and iron.
Yeah, kind of an iconic structure for the area. It's about 18 feet wide and stretches 1,150 feet across the Surma River.
And the sources suggest just like walking around it, especially towards evening, as a nice experience.
Seems so. A good view, a bit of nostalgia maybe, even with newer bridges around. Someone on TripAdvisor just put, nice view.
Sometimes that's all you need, simple and effective.
Exactly. Now, not far from Tanguar Haor, there's another striking natural feature, the Jadukata River.
Oh yeah, the pictures of this look amazing. It comes down from Meghalaya in India.
That's right. And the water is described as incredibly blue, like see-through. In the shallow parts you can actually see the riverbed.
That sounds beautiful. And it changes with the seasons, too.
Yeah, gets wider in the monsoon, like the Haor. But in winter, these lovely white sandy banks appear. Almost looks tropical in some pictures.
Contrasting with the hills, yeah. And right near the Jadukata is Barik Tila.
Yeah, a small hillock, maybe only 150 feet high or so.
Not huge, but its location is key, right? Near the Indian border.
Exactly. It's kind of a natural marker near the border, and apparently the view from the top is pretty special.
You can see both sides, Bangladesh and India.
Yeah, and the mountains and forests of Meghalaya off in the distance. Plus, there are streams nearby, a tribal village. Sounds like a really scenic spot.
Definitely. Okay, let's switch to a major cultural site, the Hosen Raj Museum.
Ah, yes. This isn't just any building. It's Hosen Raja's actual old house.
The mystic poet we mentioned earlier, located in Tegharia, right by the Surma River. And it's where he wrote his songs.
That's the significance, yeah. Imagine the history in those walls.
What's inside the museum now?
Well, a photograph of him, paintings, and personal items, his tables, chairs, those famous colorful cloaks he wore.
Oh, cool.
His sword, even earthenware. It gives you a real connection to him. And the sources note there are actually 2 museums dedicated to him, one here and one in Sylhet City.
And the feeling from visitors is that it's a fitting tribute to Hasan Raja.
Seems like it. A must-visit for anyone interested in Bengali culture and music.
Okay, another architectural point that stood out was the Puglaje Mosque.
Right. Also called Raipur Boro Mosque, built in 1941. It's a 2-story building, 3 big domes, 6 tall minarets. Looks quite grand.
But the really amazing thing is how it was built, isn't it?
That's the kicker, yeah. Constructed entirely out of bricks, no iron or steel rods used for reinforcement.
That's just mind-boggling, really, the skill involved.
Absolutely. And the details, too. Intricate floor designs with rare white and black stones, beautiful carvings on the mihrab made from cut stone. Real artistry.
It sounds incredible. And then there were a few other spots that popped up on those, like top 10 lists from TripAdvisor and the blogs. Worth mentioning quickly.
Definitely. There's Niladri Lake. It used to be a limestone mine, but now it's famous for the striking blue water.
So blue, they call it Bengal's Kashmir.
Apparently so. Then there's Shimlal Bagan, a cotton tree garden.
Right, by the Jadukata River.
Yeah.
Loads of trees, like 3,000, and they flower bright red in spring.
Yep. Sounds visually stunning. There's also Narayantala, which combines natural beauty with some history, a freedom fighter's monument, insights into the Gado people's life, views of the Chalti River.
Sounds like a mix of things there. And Logat Waterfall.
Near the border again, known for clear water and forests around it.
And finally, Kaharbalas.
A tourist spot in Bishwamvarpur offering views over the Hair and the hills. So lots of viewpoints and natural spots.
It really feels like we've journeyed across Sunamganj through these sources, doesn't it? From its ancient roots and periods of independence,
Yeah.
through its modern structure, the diverse people, and all those notable figures,
Right.
and ending up with these just incredible landscapes, like Tanguar Haor, and unique sites like the Hasan Raja Museum or that amazing mosque.
It's been quite a tour. We've had the facts, the history, the numbers, but also layered in those traveler perspectives, the feeling of the place. It does create a rich picture.
Yeah, it really does. So thinking about it all, what are we left with? For me, it's this really striking contrast, you know.
Oh, so.
We have these immense, wild, serene wetlands. Tanguar Haor, especially places defined by nature, water, birds, seasons.
Right. Very elemental.
Exactly. And right alongside that, you have this deep, layered human history. Ancient kingdoms, independent rule, influential poets, politicians, international figures. It's like deep nature meets deep culture.
That's a great way to put it. The raw natural world and the complex human story existing side by side, even intertwined.
So the thought maybe to leave you, the listener, with is, what does it actually mean for a place to hold such different things in balance? The vastness of the horror and the weight of history.
Hmm. How do those contrasting forces shape the experience? For people who live there day in and day out, and for visitors just passing through, how does that unique mix define Sunamganj?
It's definitely something to ponder, a fascinating place. We hope this deep dive gave you a good taste of it and maybe sparked some curiosity to explore further.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this journey.